This is the show that's never about magnets. We talk about stuff, but never about magnets. A pretty good show, and also fuck magnets. This is the show.
Hey guys, this is Stars at Dawn. I'm here with my good friend Cameron, who is a very talented sound engineer and has built one of the most impressive PA systems for raves, live performances, and the like that I've ever seen. It's very DIY, it's very cool, and yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so I guess I should start by talking about like how I acquired the first few speakers and then like what it's grown into since then.
Sure thing.
So my initial start with this system was just a couple like normal PA tops, like some JBL Eon G2s, which are like really old by now. They're like 25, probably 30-year-old speakers or some shit, you know. But they're just really solid and well built. And I based my first sort of foray or whatever adventure into throwing live sound with those speakers, and those were really impactful because they get really loud and they're really cheap on power and they put out a lot of sound. And I paired that with like a Yamaha DXS 15, which is a bandpass sub, so it has a lot of power, but it's like doesn't have very much like bandwidth, so it's very one notey or whatever. But yeah, that was my first system, was two normal kind of PA tops and a sub. And that sort of, when I had a job that I had made enough money to pay for these speakers, and I was buying, like, I bought a generator. I really wanted to do this like bush party thing, you know, party with my friends, like around a campfire in the forest.
Sure.
And I wanted to enable that, you know, like that's what I like to do. I like to help by enabling a good time for people, you know. I like to see how far I can go by, like, how good of a time can we have, you know, based off of like the sound, you know, and the setting, you know, and the people, and like how you craft the area, you know, and like it really brings like a different experience than to just some party, you know, when you make it a certain way, you know, you make it very welcoming and like homely.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about the system is, you know, like obviously you can just like spend a ton of cash and you can just buy the top of the line whatever, and it'll sound pretty good, like a big QSC system or a linear array or like whatever. This system though is it's like very modified. Would you call it a budget system?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of a budget system, but I feel like it's competing with some of the QSC and like some of the really expensive systems. And like, how did you achieve that?
It's like really simple, just a few parameters that people don't really think about when they think of like speaker reinforcement and sound, and yeah, so basically timing and then how much like EQ, like equalization, and based on how you equalize speakers and pair things, you can really bring a really dynamic, huge experience by sharing the load across a lot of speakers, you know, or a few specialized speakers. We don't have a lot of speakers per se, but there's enough to cover your whole body in sound pressure, you know.
Right. I mean, it's so for people that maybe don't know a lot about sound quality, when you hear a good system, there's not going to be a lot of like phase issues. And also, if you notice, we're speaking at a pretty comfortable volume. So like right now, even though it's quite loud, I mean, if you go anywhere in this party, in the space that we're at, you can hear the sound, but everywhere you can talk very comfortably. And I think like I notice with you, you're kind of maybe a perfectionist with phase.
Well, yeah. Well, I try to make sure that everything feels like one sound front, you know. And then if I do this thing where I move my head in different like planes to sort of hear if I'm hearing a shifting, you know, if it's not consistent, then there is a phase issue. And you sort of learn like timing, like what a millisecond is and what that means in sound, and you know, and what that means for bass and what that means for higher frequencies, you know, because 1 millisecond delay, for example, on the low end isn't very significant, but like 1 millisecond on like 10 kilohertz is like, will ruin it if it meets itself again, you know, it's totally whack it out of phase, you know.
Right.
So like you have to understand what time means over, you know, 20 to 20K.
Okay.
And that sort of helps with the proper alignment, because I don't really use like REW, Room EQ Wizard, or anything like that.
Right.
I have used it, and I've used it in my place to like sort of like try to linearize really crappy speakers,
Right.
and it works. But there's a lot of like issues and stuff. I'm still learning about a lot of that stuff, but you can do some really next level stuff. But I haven't got the chance to do any of that kind of stuff yet to this system. This has all been like a by ear tuning.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, like, if you're doing this all by ear, that's really impressive.
But also like it's by ear, but it's sort of like when you've like lived in the same house for so long, you can feel around at night and you don't need to turn the lights on. It's kind of like that. It's sort of like this like peripheral sense or something. Like
Sure.
It's just innate and not really thought about as much, because I understand sort of what late or early sounds like. You know, I can tell, am I hearing this speaker first and then this one? Because like, say if I know the speakers are equal volume, but I sense that I'm hearing one over the other, that means that I'm hearing that speaker before the other.
Right.
I would need to delay that to I'm perceiving it as before. So maybe it's louder, I don't know. But yeah, I'm giving them the same juice, but I'm hearing that one first. So what I need to do is delay that one to bring them in line a little bit. That's sort of like a thought process I would go through when doing that.
Interesting. So, as far as this system goes, I think there's a lot of other really interesting parts to it. So one thing is you built your own like software, your own front of house, and that's pretty amazing. Like it's awesome. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So that's like tailored to sort of help me like mix the show and manage the speaker system in sort of an organized way. I could use a DAW for it, but a DAW, like any DAW, like there's never sort of UI layout that's like takes up all the screen real estate in a way that I'm satisfied with. It's always a bunch of extra crap, you know, that I don't need, you know, stuff to make, you know, piano roll and all this extra stuff. I don't need like a lot of stuff, but I need a certain set of tools, you know, like speaker swap and invert phase and delay per channel, and, you know, like a fader for left and a fader for right, and, you know, stuff like that. I don't even use a pan knob. I don't need that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about with all the extra crap. It's like, I don't need a pan knob, and now it's taking up screen real estate. and I could, like, the bigger the knob is, the more resolution I have with my mouse when I'm turning it. I just want like a really buttery, nice, smooth experience, something that's taking up the full screen.
For sure.
And I just designed all the controls like I saw fit, kind of like a channel strip, like a mixer, but with a digital EQ in line and not like 3 knobs,
Right.
So you can cross over the speakers.
That's interesting.
in such a way that they're taking load off of one speaker and like letting that speaker perform like even better, and then putting the load, and narrowing the bandwidth of that load on another speaker.
Interesting.
It depends on the speakers too. Like it's gonna really depend like on the performance of the speaker. You might EQ the whole system if you change like the tops and the whole balance of the system, not just the one speaker down in the chain of ways, like a 3-way or 4-way, but like the whole system might need a slight EQ adjustment when you change one part of it.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. And is the light control built into that part of it as well, or is that separate?
The light control built into the so they're 2 different big projects, and they don't communicate with each other, but we take information from the DJ, BPM information, and we sync that with the lights computer.
Okay.
And we have a couple of different ways of detecting BPM or being sent directly the tempo, or depending on the situation. If we can't get a tempo, like a sync, we have a detector. And then if we don't have a detector, we have a tap. And then if you don't want to tap, you have like a knob that you can change, and then you have a reset phrase button. We were supposed to be developing the lights project a little more tonight because we're pretty new at it. So
right. I mean, yeah, it's really impressive. So if someone wanted to learn how to do this or wanted to get involved with like throwing parties or doing live sound, like what advice would you have to them? Like how would you get started? If you could do it again, maybe you're like, oh shit, like I could have done that 30% more efficiently or something, right?
Yeah. Currently, I mean, yeah, if you're really limited on money, if you want to build a really good sounding loud budget system, you would want to start with a good interface, like a good sound interface, if you're going to do a digital system like mine. If you do an analog system, I don't know. I can't give advice for an analog system because I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough gear. I haven't done enough full analog stuff. I know that it's very snappy. It's very responsive, and there's not like really latency much involved with
analog.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's so it feels good for a DJ to play on, but with digital, you have all this power. You've got a computer.
Right.
And so you can do a lot to make the sound really good with time alignment and all that stuff, which is digital. So
interesting.
Yeah, and I'm using like a high quality interface and a high sample rate. So it's got a pretty low system latency because the high sample rate and the low buffer. Hey Mike. Yo.
Talk to him about the lights.
Yeah. Well, we're doing an interview. Yep. Do you want to like chime in?
What can I say?
About the lights.
Those have been a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the lights were pretty new. It's a new thing.
Here, I'll let you.
Yeah.
You know better than me.
Yeah. So, how do the lights work?
So it's all run off of DMX. That's the standard protocol for stage lights. But we've implemented Usine to basically create our own user interface for it.
That's awesome.
in like a digital audio workstation kind of mindset.
Yeah, so like a lot of envelopes, a lot of things that you would recognize in like a normal DAW. We sort of tried to like emulate into the lighting control, because that's how we understand sort of time and expression of parameters over time, is like envelopes and
Just everything over time,
and
basically.
lanes of on a grid, you know, like that's how we like to understand stuff. There's a lot of programs that like we could have gotten into, but we kind of like enjoy the process of like figuring out stuff from the ground up, you know, so to speak. You know,
It's kind
there's
of our own like. I want to say it's like a little bit of a. We hurt ourselves so good because we want to make it from the ground up. If that makes sense. I don't know if like I'm reaching for a metaphor here, but
So I've been watching a lot of like play-alongs of like Rust. Have you seen Rust,
like the game.
the game?
Yeah.
So like part of the fun is you get to build your own base and like set up your turrets and stuff.
And it's like a survival against all the other people that are on there and stuff.
Sure.
Right.
Do you think that's part of it? Is you building your own thing and like you get to build your own?
Wanted to bring as like a genuine, authentic something that we baby of ours, you know,
Right.
our own creation to the table.
yeah, I feel like Redstone was like a huge catalyst for this. Like I loved Redstone.
Everything goes back to Minecraft.
Yeah, I geeked out on Redstone for so many hours and did some really highly technical things in there, and that was like a huge inspiration, and actually is what brought me to a skill set to be able to understand like Usine, the program that we use. You know, just basic logic, you know, and like how basic digital things work, and what is analog, what is digital, like
Right. Kind of understanding the logic flows and like if and nor circuits, all that stuff, and that really plays a big part in programming. You know, the Usine for both the audio and the visual side. So
Awesome. Yeah, I know when I've spoken to you about this, it's like kind of seems like, oh well, we need to like learn this thing, and like oh, we have to learn how to program in this language or whatever, and then it's like, oh yeah, a week later it's like, yeah, we got it figured out.
well, it's nice because it's like it's a visual flowchart kind of programming style. Like you have modules instead of like having to learn like a syntax of a code and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
I mean, if there's a shout out that I can do is like Usine is the best interface program out there.
Yeah. You can do anything, and you can make a game in Usine.
Yeah. The opportunities are endless.
Yeah,
Like,
you could create a game. It's got physics. It's got like rudimentary physics, but it's meant to be for sound and sound triggers.
right.
Bounces around in a container, you know, or whatever. But I used that and I made Pong.
Wow.
It really is just like the best interface program though, because it has so much capability for ins and outs. Like you have MIDI in, DMX in, sound in, anything that you can interface with, Usine can work with it.
Yep. Anything with anything, any hardware with like, it has like really good connectivity over like LAN and the internet. It just works. And it communicates with other computers. You can share
It's a
like
real game changer.
you can share information, like all kinds of data, just like easily over the internet. Like I was sending Mike lives like 3 hours away. I was sending him freaking sound data, or what was it?
It was your time clock from what you were sending me on Sonobus for sound.
Yeah, I was sending him freaking sound data from Usine straight to his Usine, and then his lights project was picking up on that.
Yeah. So he was
Whoa.
DJing
From
Canada
over the
and then,
internet.
like the lights were reacting to him DJing.
And it was real time. Now, on my video feed on Discord, it was like there was no latency, so I know I was sending him instantly.
at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Cool. Okay, let me see. What other questions do I have here? Oh, am I still in there? Okay.
Not very.
I'm gonna go back. See ya, Mike. Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye. Oh.
Maybe you'll meander.
A lot of good vibes tonight. All right. Well, yeah, man, I think we can wrap if you want. You also make really cool music.
Thank you.
Do you want to shout that out? Maybe shout out your Discord, your Twitch, or anything else?
Yeah, so I guess Homegrown Beats on YouTube or at Chillmaxx Group.
Homegrown Beats
Or at Chillmaxx Group.
at Chillmaxx Group. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's for YouTube. And then I have Stink City on Twitch. That's about it, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot of good vibes, making music, and also a lot of sound advice and tips. You're very talented, really awesome musician, really awesome sound engineer. Everything you do sounds great. So it's a pleasure to sit down with you and chat. Yeah.
That's good.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.